I'm Tim, and welcome to What You Want. Thanks for logging on. Today, we're looking at the Breitling for Bentley Mark VI Chronograph, a special edition produced from 2006 to 2010. This one right here is from 2009. 42mm stainless steel with a knurled platinum bezel. This watch is special on two levels. First and foremost, it's a rare combination of stainless steel and platinum in a complicated watch from Breitling. But it's also significant because this watch pays a little bit more deference to history and heritage of the two brands, respectively Breitling and Bentley, than your average big bling Breitling for Bentley edition. So let's go over this watch, unpack some of these features, some of these heritage-inspired features, and talk a little bit about what makes this Breitling for Bentley Mark VI Chronograph special. So the first thing that makes it a little bit different has nothing to do with the materials or the heritage, but the fact that it sits a little bit more lightly upon the wrist. It's a bit more elegant, a bit more refined than your typical big bling Breitling for Bentley. Now it is full polish, but what it sports is a very reasonable, very traditionally sized and shaped case. It's got nice full flowing lugs. Unlike the very, very large Breitling for Bentleys and other large watches in general, it doesn't struggle to fit the case on the wrist, so you can have these larger, more generous, more sculpted lugs that flow outward, project outward, and give, to use an automotive term, a bit of overhang, a bit of an extended belt line to the watch from the profile, and I really like that. Now the watch also fits relatively slim on the wrist. Although it is 16 1/3 millimeters thick, it really doesn't feel it, and in fact, because it has a slightly rounded case back, it actually sinks a millimeter, maybe even 3, into the wrist for a lower profile. And you can see the way the bezel and the crystal are stepped, that allows the sleeve to get right up and over it. Now on my wrist, which is 6 1/3 inches, 16 centimeters, this one really feels quite reasonable. I enjoy wearing this, and in fact, more than anything in terms of ergonomics, it reminds me of my old Bond Seamaster from the early 2000s, the old Omega Seamaster Professional Diver, and it's not just because of the combination of the steel bracelet case and the blue dial. This watch actually has a little bit of a Bond backstory, and that's because its namesake Bentley, the Mark VI, was actually produced from 1946 to 1952, and it makes a brief appearance in one of the James Fleming novels. Although Aston is the name associated with Bond from the movies, Bentley is what he actually drove in the books. A naval commander, he actually had a battleship gray Mark VI in the novel Moonraker of 1955, so this one's got a little bit of a Bond backstory. Very indirectly, you could claim this is a Bond watch, with a nod and a wink, of course. But in the spirit of that mid-century 40s to 50s traditionalist aesthetic, this watch has been pared down a little bit, featuring chronograph complication elements as well as styling features that recall Bentleys of the period. Now, the watch features some chronograph elements evocative of Breitling chronographs from the late 40s. You can see these oval section chronograph pushers are a little bit different than what you're going to see on contemporary chronographs, or even those built just a few years after the midpoint of the century, when you started to see more pump pushers and round pushers. Likewise, today you're more likely to see large round pushers on Breitling for Bentley chronograph models like the 675. But the bottom line is that these oval section oblong pushers are characteristic of that period when the Mark VI was in production. And the twin register chronograph, and I'm going to start it up now so you can see one of its neat tricks in the course of the rest of this video, but the twin register chronograph is anything but. Although chronographs built in that late 40s time frame tended to be twin register, this one only has the look of a twin register. You actually have center-mounted chronograph seconds and minutes hands. So this register at 9 o'clock is actually your chronograph hours. So despite the look of a twin register, it has 3 complete chronograph sub-elements, 3 registers hidden on a twin register aesthetic, and then you've got your constant seconds right here at 3 o'clock. I really like the way that's been done, and it also helps to evoke an automotive instrument, a dashboard instrument, a little bit more. I like the way this is done, and that point is hammered home by this machined, almost diamond plate knurled style platinum bezel set atop the stainless steel case. It's the only break with the all polished facets of the case sides, the lugs, the case tops, and the bracelet. It offers nice contrast, and it's also a nice little bit of unifying fashion that ties the watch to those machined plates of Bentley dashboards, floor plates, gas and brake pedals from the interwar years and into the late 40s. Again, thematically very well done. Also the dished chapter ring, the 60-second, 60-minute chapter ring around the edge of the dial. That also adds a little bit of an instrument aesthetic, as does the overlaid 0 to 100 sort of rounded square scale at center. Now the watch features a beautiful Soleil blue metallic dial, and I'm really sorry because I can't capture it on the iPhone, but I try to get some sense of it. The watch does have an anti-glare coating, which makes it a little bit difficult to detect the blue Soleil pattern of the dial, but I can tell you it really explodes in person. What you can see is the thoughtful accenting of the blue dial with swatches of red on the minute and seconds hand, and also the applied gold Bentley B at 12 o'clock, as well as the gold printing of that central scale. It's quite beautiful, multi-tonal, it's got some depth to it, and tremendous luster. Not of the gloss type, but of the metallic variety, which I feel is really better suited to an automotive instrument style watch. And at 42 millimeters, it's not overwhelming, despite the fact that it does have a sunburst dial, high polish, a knurled bezel, and it is one of those big, expressive Breitling for Bentley watches. The fact that it's 42 millimeters and relatively slim makes this one quite manageable. And even on my smaller wrist, again, basically a 6-inch wrist, 16 centimeters, you're not looking at an overwhelming, oversized timepiece. If you like Breitling for Bentley, but you've backed away from some of the bigger, more extrovert pieces, this might be the one that does it for you. Now, the watch has other features to be sure. The highlight from a mechanical standpoint is that hidden triple register chronograph, but there's more to recommend it. Now, Breitling's Caliber 26 is a modified ETA 2892A2, chronometer certified, as all Breitlings have been since 2000. It's highly accurate. It's also very tough. Automatic winding with a date and a chronograph. You could say this is the one watch you need, because more discreet than the other Breitling for Bentleys, it'll pull off a dress attire program, maybe a tuxedo, any kind of formal office wear, and anything that requires black tie, certainly. This is going to be one of the go-tos in the Breitling for Bentley line. You're probably going to want to steer clear of a big black watch or something that's so blinding it's going to scorch retinas on the way into the restaurant or the chapel. But the bottom line is this one's quite discreet and tastefully done. On the Speed bracelet, a 5-link slash-cut design, the bracelet itself is very substantial, feels great on the wrist, high polish on both sides and on the flanks. It's cohesive and it looks right on this watch. It's nicely scaled, it's in proportion to the size of the case and the width of the lugs, and of course it tapers, so it's got that pared down look as you move away from the mass of the case. Very thoughtfully done, and the integrated end links make it look a treat on the wrist and feel a treat as well. Again, let's just take a look at how that tapers and integrates. Very nicely done. This watch is a very complete timepiece. Again, a sports reference. This is still 100-meter water resistant, so though it does work well, far better with formal attire than the other Breitling for Bentleys, and certainly many of the oversized sports watches that Breitling sells, it is very versatile. It's also surprisingly colorful and expressive, not in an excessively flamboyant sense, but in the sense that it has a joie de vivre. It has a lot of character. It's really a standout in both the Breitling and the Breitling for Bentley lines. And it's a 100% complete watch. All boxes, papers, manuals, accessories documenting this watch's history, all special edition features, special edition documents commemorating its place in the Breitling for Bentley line are available from Watch You Want. So when you purchase this 2009 Breitling for Bentley Mark VI, you're really getting the total package. Everything but the car is included. I have a feeling if you're looking for a more discreet, more tasteful, more versatile Breitling for Bentley, look no farther. This Breitling for Bentley Mark VI Chronograph is the watch you want.